Okay, aparigraha, an opportunity to say goodbye. All the things, ideas, burdens that we can say goodbye to. So at its core, it's about letting go. Letting go of fears, failures, pains, and even old ideologies or belief structures that aren't serving us, that are holding us down, that almost feel like a cage, but to know that aparigraha is the keys to the cage to soar, to be set free. But you have to do it. No one else can make you let go, right? It's about traveling light. Are you moving through life with a fist, holding so tightly to an idea or a situation or a person? Just squeezing the life force out of it, right? Holding on so much. Or can you say, it goes back, they're all connected. It also goes back to, right, everything's like on loan. If you have an open palm, okay, I have this person, this idea, this job, I'm gonna open palm because I don't know if this is really what I should have forever. And also I don't own it, right? You have this open palm so that you have this sense of surrender and freedom to release. I teach college science, and I see a lot of new professors getting so hung up on students playing on their phone, not paying enough attention. Then they get frustrated, and it comes through their teaching and makes the entire room uncomfortable. Yes, their teaching gets so much better once they let that go. That prepares so well. Yeah, because you can't control it. People are going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to live the way they're going to live, and you can lead by example, and you might make a point of it once or twice, right? Maybe they say, okay, this is your education. You are paying for this, or someone is paying for this knowledge, and no one can tell you, right, to be here, to leave, to be on your phone or not, but to know that knowledge is power, and present it that way, right? So then it makes the students feel, well, they're there, you're doing it, but feel autonomous and have self-agency, right? That I'm going to learn this material because I'm going to learn it because it's going to make me a better person and because I'm paying for it or someone else is paying for it. There's a chat. Where did it go? Oops. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Exactly. Only intervene if they are distracting others. Yes. Love that. I don't want to annotate. What did I just do? Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm stuck in here. Ah. Oh, wait. There it is. Close. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there for a second. It's going to drive me crazy. I apologize. This setting can't get out of here. Oh, it's closed. There it is. Oh, it went away. I see that mouse and I can't get to it. Okay. Non-attachment, Christine. Aparigraha, so we let go. Letting go. Open palms. Trusting, right? If I'm not supposed to have this, if this isn't meant to serve me, it's going to be released. If I'm holding on to it, right, then we're holding so tightly that we can't even see fully and clearly the whole picture. And then we become free. And I think that's like we hold on because we're afraid to lose something. But if we open our palms, yes, it's a little scary, it's vulnerable. But again, vulnerability brings us to a place of connection. Another aspect of aparigraha is forgiveness. It's a big one. We've all been done wrong, hurt, maybe experienced a lot of trauma from varying degrees. We've experienced anger, pain, heartache, and we'll hold on to it, and it poisons us. and we hold on to it because we feel like maybe we deserve it, we deserve the pain, or maybe we hold on to it because we have bitterness and resentment that we almost want to feel it. We want to feel the anger or the pain. But in truth, all of that does, and I speak from myself, is it really does poison us. It keeps us living in a cage, right? Maybe something happened and we hold on to it, and then we start projecting that anger or pain onto other people that have nothing to do with whatever it was that happened, and then that's a spiral effect, right? And that's our karma, right? Of we can stop the karma by aparigraha, by non-attachment. I'm not saying that if something happened to you and someone did something awful to you that you need to go and forgive them right now. But a part of it is forgiving yourself. So sometimes we think something awful happened to us because it was because we deserved it, right? Bad things happen to good people all the time. I was watching the Netflix movie, I haven't finished it, the Two Popes. And one pope is very traditional and the other pope is more open-minded, and he was talking about in the Catholic Church and the young boys and children who were sexually assaulted by priests, and how everyone has the right to be forgiven, but some of these priests were given jobs, again, at other congregations or churches. And the more open-minded pope was basically saying, that's not complete forgiveness. How do those people feel? The victims, right? There's no sense of justice. So what? There's no accountability there. So again, it's not saying forgiveness is just like wash it clean. There's no need for justice, no need for accountability. That is part of forgiveness. That there is some sort of justice, that there's some kind of happening because of that implication, and because in that process it allows a little bit of healing time for those who experience the pain and the trauma from that. So I cannot get out of here for the how do I get out? Someone commented, darn it. It looks like we're stuck in here. So, another part of this homework is looking at the ways you might have hurt someone or others, right? And why? What was happening in your life at that point in time that you hurt someone? And then also the parts in your lives where you're holding pain because you were hurt. It's a tricky one about forgiveness. And I'm not saying you need to go out and forgive and forget right away, right? It's a journey, it's a process. Oh, there. Nope. Oh, I see things happening and I just can't get to them. There. Nope. Shoot. Gosh. I'm sorry, guys. Can someone... Oh, gosh. I don't know why I cannot get out of this. Okay, I'm scrolling to the right.
Did you try escape?
Yeah, and it won't do anything. It just gives me a weird noise. Okay, I made it to chat. Took me years to value vulnerability and not to see it as weakness. Yes, it took me years to realize that forgiveness didn't mean that I had to re-enter into a relationship with that person. Didn't mean, yeah, but I may, but doesn't mean I have to. Like the saying goes, anger, bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Exactly. And to remember what someone was saying too, the only constant is change, right? That people do change, and lessons are learned, and perhaps that whatever tumultuous, painful experience that might be a brink for someone, and unfortunately you had experienced the brunt of that, that woke them up, that was a darkness for them that woke them up to change. Perhaps doesn't mean always, right? Some people make the same mistake over and over and over again, right? And that's their lesson, that's their karma to learn it. I'm getting a little confused on the difference between brahmacharya and aparigraha. Can you clarify for me? Yeah, it's just interesting. They get really connected. So aparigraha is the idea of letting go, and brahmacharya is the idea of moderation. So I can't even go back. That's so annoying. And when I press escape, it will just get rid of that, but it won't let me escape the actual screen. Oh, slow. Brahmacharya is moderation, so balance. Oh, can I get to that X? Oh, come on, really? Oh, man. There. Beautiful. Okay. So yes, it's interesting. Everyone, generally, lots of people will say they feel very similar. So it says to walk with God, right? This brahmacharya, and it's like you're hand in hand walking this path and becoming aware of how you're spending your energy. That's brahmacharya. Are you spending your energy fully and wholeheartedly on only or one or two parts of your life? And are you neglecting other parts of your life? For example, I was a dog walker in Chicago for one summer, and one of the dogs I walked was for this man who was super wealthy and lived in a high rise. I never met this man. Abstinence. Yeah, you can, I mean, that's abstaining, not even just from, again, originally it was related towards like sex, abstaining from like sex, but it's just, it's boundaries is brahmacharya. You could think of it like that. So this man who worked, we lived in this high rise in Chicago. I walked his dog. I was not a fan of this dog. Actually, I was kind of terrified of it. Side note. But this man, loads of money. And then, so obviously he was spending hours and hours and hours all the time at this job. But his house was a disaster. He was a hoarder, full-blown hoarder. And it was just, I did not enjoy being in there. I could feel the energy of something was off. And that would be brahmacharya. If you looked at that pie wheel, all of his time is like at work. And then his home life is just like a bomb went off. Just, it was crazy going in there. Is one of the four stages of life. The first, like that, at first age, it is believed people go through. Interesting. So that, it's looking at your life with boundaries. Okay, how am I spending my time here and here and here and here and here? And am I spending way too much time over here and neglecting all this time over here, right? We want to have a holistic experience of our lives. And if it's all in one category, then it's not going to be holistic. That's brahmacharya. Aparigraha is the idea of letting go of, say, a situation happened at work and it's maybe perhaps more trivial, but there's a disagreement and the whole rest of the day you're holding on to it like it's eating you alive. when in reality this situation has already been solved and everyone else has moved on, and you're replaying that scenario over and over and over and over again, and it's driving you insane, crazy, upset, frustrated, anxious. That is not a parigraha. A parigraha is the opposite, is saying, man, that was a really frustrating situation. I don't agree with what happened there. Maybe sitting with it for a moment and then being able to let it go. It's releasing. It's saying, hey, this isn't serving me or my mind or my mental health. Or maybe I'm even feeling tension in my body that I don't need this, I can let this go. That is a parigraha. Part of a parigraha, underneath it, the umbrella of it would be forgiveness, because that is about letting go and a different avenue, you could say. But again, it's one of those things, it can be big and small. It doesn't always need to be fear. Maybe you have a fear about, like, you have this strong desire to be a yoga teacher, and you have a fear that you're not going to make it work. Where's that fear coming from, right? Maybe you let that go and you slowly step into the world of becoming a yoga teacher. Or maybe you experienced a failure in your past and that's holding you back from the success of what life is calling you towards now. And you're, oh, I can't do that. That holding on to that, that's the opposite of that's the opposite of a parigraha. A parigraha would be, with that situation, I experienced that failure. It was such a setback. It was so heartbreaking. And I felt like that was really unjust. But hey, I'm better than that. And I know that I'm made for more. And I have intelligence and experience. And I am productive, and that I can share my success with the world. That's a parigraha. It was not letting your past dictate how you live in the present moment. That's a parigraha. Brahmacharya is the boundaries we have in our lives to find ourselves in a place of balance. Hopefully that was helpful. So we are right at that point in time to break. I'm going to stop the sharing so I can see you for all for a second. So we'll have lunch, or whatever that is, time zone for you. We'll meet back in an hour, so it's 12 Central Time here. So whenever that is for you, 1 Central Time or whatever time zone you guys are on, and we'll explore the final dinner time here in Ireland, 6 p.m. Perfect. So nourish yourself, go outside, drink some water, and I'll see you guys in an hour. I'm just going to keep this meeting up, so you can log out and I can re-admit you. It's up to you. I can't make it to the later session. I'll make sure to record it so we can get that to you too. I'm going to thank you for sure. Thanks for letting me know. I'm going to stop.
Thank you. It's been
Thank
awesome.
you guys
I'll
so
see
much.
you in an hour.
Thank you.
Guys, I'll see you in a bit.
Thank you.
Any questions before we dive in that came up while you're eating or integrating? Anything at all? No bad questions. I know some people are still joining in. Okay. Are you finding this interesting? Are you enjoying learning? A lot of awareness, yes. Yes, I'm enjoying it. Good. Beautiful. Very much. Okay.
It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's nice to actually hear some of your voices. I'm like, is this the Matrix? Am I teaching right now? I don't know. Cool. Good. Different perspectives. So great. Wonderful. Very interesting. I've read a lot. Great. Okay. Oh, good. Nice. Yes. Good. Okay. Yeah. Life is one great teacher for sure. The best, I think. So here we are. Day 452 and quarantine. Yeah, it's interesting, right? We're in every city, state is a little bit different in terms of what shelter in place looks like. And I'm not sure what that means for all of you individually. Here in Austin, essential businesses are open, and there's been speak of reopening gyms and such as of May 18th. I think the most spaces are pressing pause and waiting because cases are increasing still, so which I think is a smart thing. I know personally I wouldn't feel safe to go teach, let alone be a student in a studio at this point in time, not only for the safety of myself but other people. So it's a really interesting time because it's kind of nice in a compassionate way forced us to slow down and to sit with perhaps the stillness that we normally don't sit with. And I think that is a blessing that, we live in such a society that just go, 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 go from the moment we wake up. And now we have this pause, right? To check in. It's the first time ever in our modern history that has experienced something so profound. And so here we are sitting in our own homes, learning and talking yoga. It's fascinating. Okay. So we're hopping into the niyamas. We have until 3. Oh, it's 1:08, an auspicious number. And here we go. I'm going to move you guys to the side like before. Oh, wait, I need to share this first. Oh, don't look at that. There we go. Okay. So niyamas, we explored that the yamas in itself were generally, again, traditionally more about how we relate with the rest of the world, but obviously, in the way I was presenting, it's looking at ourselves as well. And niyamas is generally focused on how we relate with ourselves, our personal path. So saucha is our first. As you can see, well, especially with the niyamas, it's going to go from more external or accessible, you could say, to a little bit more deeper and internal practices. So we start with saucha. Traditionally, it is defined as purity or cleanliness. And I know that even the idea of purity can be a loaded term, but we'll break that down. So this is a quote from the Buddha. In the mind, typo, apologies, is pure. Joy follows like a shadow that never leaves. So if we take a moment to sit with that, and we take a moment to reflect on a moment in our own lives where we have felt very light and free and pure. Generally, joy is the friend of purity, of pureness. A shadow that never leaves, right? It follows us. So, and that states that basically is guiding us to realize that joy follows suit of something that is happening within ourselves, not from the outside world. And in our society, we are, again, in a sense, programmed to find that joy comes from external successes, material goods, etc. But if we really, the thing with this teaching is it's so ancient that there wasn't the material goods that we have at our fingertips now. And yet these people were experiencing great amounts of joy from such simple living. This past June, I was teaching a 200-hour in Tulum in Mexico. And every morning I would go for a short run just for the sake of my own time for me, because I was basically 12-hour days teaching. And I would run around the neighborhood, and so many people were just living in small little huts and houses with dirt floors and, you know, straw, like palapa style roofs. And I would see the family outside, and they would be cooking, and the children would be out there, and everyone had this giant joyful smile smeared across their face, and they just had this radiant pure joy, and they had such simple lifestyle, and such just it was magnetic. It was beautiful to witness. And I think it's part of this practice is unlearning habits and patterns and ideas that have been so ingrained. And that's why it can be so challenging, because we first have to unlearn before we can truly apply and learn this material. So it takes time. So Saucha, we start from like the external, right? The most accessible and applicable is, okay, looking out from the outside in, and then we can go internal. So externally we see, okay, how is my hygiene? How's my living space? How's my diet? How's my asana practice? And I'm not saying what style of hygiene or how you should live, the feng shui of your home, or again, the diet, or what style of practice you should be exploring, right? But again, only you know what serves you best, right? I'm not saying you need to take multiple showers every day, right? And do all the things. When I was leading this workshop earlier this month on Saucha, it was interesting because we talked about during this shelter in place, during this pandemic, I had one student who shared, who's a yoga teacher himself, that in the first few weeks, he was very burdened and overwhelmed by everything, that he lost his like ritual, his morning routine, and the simple things of making his bed and cleaning himself and cleaning his kitchen and like getting out of his pajamas. And he was stuck in this rut because of all the angst and fear and hysteria of everything that was happening. And he shared how much that impacted him. And so that goes to show of like how we keep our vehicle, our body, how we keep our house, our nest, really impacts us. When we when we clean ourselves, right, you feel fresh, you feel clean, right? You feel a little bit more motivated to continue with your day. Oops. Someone's joining us. And then also with your home. He was sharing like he wasn't doing his dishes, and things were piling up, and he felt overwhelmed and anxious by that. And it rings true for me too. There is a sense of parallel of how we treat our bodies and how we treat the space that we live in. They're one and the same, and that's really a metaphor, or of how our minds are, how our hearts are. And I think back to the lawyer whose dog I would walk, and his house and his space, and I'm just wondering, how he felt inside, like what was going on internally, right? And at the same time, just like we were talking about with the ahimsa and diet and being a vegetarian or vegan or whatever diet it is, right? And you have this appearance of seeming a specific way, the same thing can be true with this. We can look so put together. Our houses can look like a model home, we can eat so clean, and our asana practice can be of excellence. But that also can be just the external, and internally we feel disastrous inside. So it's not just do this and feel better and everything will be well, but there can be a correlation between the two. So, and that, everyone's cleanliness patterns is going to be different. I'm not saying your house needs to be spotless, right? But notice how it impacts you personally, mentally, emotionally. There was someone in the Navy who was higher up, and he was sharing how in the Navy that they were required to make their bed a very specific way each morning, and that he attributes his motivation to that discipline because it was the first thing in the day that he could say, oh, I feel accomplished that I've done this. And so that's another part of this, is we're starting to feel a little bit more that karma of, oh, I'm taking care of myself, I feel a little better, I ate a well-balanced meal, I did a chore in my house, I feel more free, I feel more clean, I feel more clarity. I did even 10 minutes of asana, right? I did a few sun salutations. Oh, my body feels better, right? So it's a cleaning. All these things are, yes, we say purity, but it's also a cleaning, cleanliness of how we move through our life. Let's see here. I always feel more centered when my house and office are clean and I eat healthier. Likewise, me too. And I know I feel less centered and I feel a little bit more agitated when things aren't as organized, right? I just feel more chaotic and overwhelmed. I feel more antsy when my house isn't as organized. So that's externally. Those are things that are very tangible to work on. And then we have how the internal practices. So this gets a little bit more challenging. Thoughts, anger, lust, greed, pride, jealousy. Whew. And then we work on cleaning those up. And hey, here we go. It comes back to ahimsa and aparigraha, letting go, aparigraha, old narratives, negative stories, ahimsa, and unrealistic expectations, and our judgments. So satya, they all build on top of each other. So it's a place of honesty, right? We have to see our thoughts with honesty, and then we work on becoming aware of them. What's activating us? What are your thoughts on drinking alcohol in connection with satya? Oh, that's great. As long as it's not dictating your life, it's great. Again, you can seem the most pure and clean and hygienic human being, and then you could be horrible, human being and be so mean, right? And so it comes back to your intention behind it, right? If you're gonna drink and run amok, and be judgmental and critical, then you might have a situation there, right? If it's taking away from your focus and responsibilities, then perhaps, right, there might be something to look at there. But yeah, it's fine. It's as long as you, oops, where are we here? I think that's a great question. And I encourage you guys to keep asking questions. It's so excellent. Intention. That's the thing. To really look at like the root of it. And if you're just wanting to have a drink to have happy hour with a friend, cool, right? It's totally okay. But look, the inner workings of anger, lust, greed, and pride. It can be hard because we don't really want to see those parts of ourselves. I think a practice that you maybe want to explore, I might encourage you to explore, is to look truly at yourself in the mirror, and with eyes of compassion and not critique, of just to see, okay, like compassionately looking at yourself, like you're holding the face of a young child and really looking like, hey, like, are you okay? Check in. Like, is what you see, not just physically, like, don't condemn yourself, oh, I'm not this or this and this enough, but is this person in front of me, is this who I really want to be? Again, not physically, but internally. You know, am I in a place where I feel joy and peace in my heart? Am I content, right? Am I compassionate? You know, am I moving through life with kindness? It's so hard to do that. I at least struggle with that. With looking in the mirror and being compassionate. Is that what you're talking about, Shannon? Yeah. I think, first of all, don't feel alone. One, looking in the mirror and really looking in the mirror, not looking in the mirror to like get ready in the morning, but looking in the mirror at yourself, it's hard, right? We're again been so programmed with so many expectations on our psyche, and then we look at ourselves and we're, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough. But remember that the core of who you are and the core of everyone is love and light. And everything else is just extra, right? That's just the personality of this human expression right here and right now. Ooh, work hard but worth it. Louise Hay. Thanks, Crystal, for sharing that. And if looking in the mirror is too challenging or becomes too much, I would just say start journaling about all these concepts. Slowly and compassionately, coming back to compassion. Compassion is key. So our body is the home of our spirit. It is the means by which we enact our beliefs. We are enacting our spiritual beliefs in a tangible way every day. So the cool thing about these practices is, yes, they have these like very accessible opportunity to, in spite of whatever background you have or, you know, religious connection. But he's saying, and this isn't just for Saucha, but all of them in wholeness, is we are enacting our spiritual beliefs. So if we're starting to see this as like, hey, I'm not just doing Saucha to check it off my list, but it is an act of our beliefs in a very tangible way. So we are not condemning the physical world, right? But we are using our bodies, we are using these ideas of Saucha or Ahimsa or every parigraha as a tangible way to enact what we believe internally as a path towards, again, samadhi, bliss. So just because we do these things doesn't mean we're a quote-unquote good yogi, but the intention, the root of it, the seed of why we're doing what we're doing. Any more questions on Saucha? So this connects with one that we'll explore in a little bit. But another thing is everything that we take in also relates to our experience of purity or cleanliness. Books, things you read. The mind is like a garage. Everything we experience in our life is stored in the mind of the garage of our mind, you could say, or attic. Sometimes it is lays a deeper impression, and sometimes it just kind of sits in the corner, but it's still there. Every yoga practice, every day, is like a little storage file in our mind and our heart. And we can own each day if we choose to move through it consciously, and at the same time have perspective that we're also human beings and we make mistakes and life is not perfect and it is messy and there's a whole gamut of emotions that come with it, right? Nothing's predictable, you could say. So if our mind is like this garage or attic and things just sit there and they pile up dust, that's when we want to become really careful. So it's like spring cleaning. And here we are in spring, or some of you guys are still experiencing some winter. But just like when we spring clean and we get rid of old items or clothes that are just taking up space, that's what we need to do with Saucha, is clean out the thoughts that aren't serving us, right? And again, we come back to that beautiful question of why. Why is there anger there? Why is there lust there? Why is there greed? Why is there pride? And where? Where is it coming from? What is, some people will say triggering or activating. What is activating said experiential emotion that's you're feeling, you're embodying that? Any comments on this so far? No? Okay. Moving on. Santosha. I really resonate with Santosha. The art of contentment. It's an interesting one because our world and our society is always chasing after progress and growth and more success. And here we're presented with, are you content? So the sutras say, as a result of contentment, one gains supreme happiness. And you might ask, well, Christine, I don't feel like I'm done on my path. None of us are, right? That's why we're still here. There's still lessons to learn and things to experience and ways in which we need to grow and evolve. But in this moment, you know, we can fight life, right? We can resist it and feel like a salmon going upstream, or we can choose to trust the process and adapt and go with the flow. And remember, it's an art. It's a practice of contentment. So it's not just I'm going to sit here and all of a sudden feel content, but it's a practice. And so we look at how to practice it. Cultivation of daily mindful gratitude. Gratitude is key. Deepak Chopra has a quote, I'm paraphrasing. It says, gratitude is you're opening a new door, opening a door so that the way you see shifts. You have a reframe of the way you're looking at the world. And I get it. Sometimes gratitude feels so hard. And I've been there where it's almost like, you know, gratitude, we have so much to be grateful for. And then we go through something challenging. Oh, I don't want to experience gratitude. I don't want to. Like, we're like a toddler who just like throws a fist. And no, I don't want to. I want to be angry. I want to be upset. And that's practice, right? Is to seeing them and be like, all right, we got to sit down here and take a break, take a time out. So another part of the elements of Santosha is learning the differences and becoming aware of how we explore intrinsic value versus extrinsic value. Intrinsic value is finding value and appreciation, from within. Extrinsic value is looking for the opposite, finding our value from external sources, stimulation, people, jobs, and so on, which our society is very extrinsic in value. And it seems as though that we have a challenging time embodying and living holistically from intrinsic value. In a children's yoga training that I took years ago, we explored this concept, and I realized, oh, it's actually very much relatable to adulthood. We have raised children, maybe we ourselves were raised this way, or we see it, or we are doing it ourselves, and maybe we just don't know, is we praise the result instead of looking and acknowledging the efforts behind them. And so what we do is we're training the brain to people please, to look for the acknowledgement and recognition from an outside source, rather than cultivating that motivation and discipline from within. And there we get lots of narcissism, imposter syndromes. Yes, exactly. Praising the effort, not the product. This is exactly it. And it's interesting because there are more and more therapists and even pediatricians who are concerned about the way in which children are being raised, especially if you think about like constant like trophies. Like you get a trophy because you participated. And it's cute and it's beautiful and it's endearing, but at the same time, well, what is it doing? Oh, I did this, I should be praised. But at the same time, or parents who always let their children win the board game or win the race, right? Let's go race. I'm gonna let you win. And so you're setting them up to think, oh, I should always win. And if I don't win, then we have a problem. What's wrong with me? I usually always win. And now I'm not winning. I'm not praised. Reminds me of one of my favorite sayings: the greater the obstacle, the more glorious the triumph. Don't know where it came from, but I heard it once and it so resonated and stuck with me. Yes. I actually think the woman in Wild, that movie, was talking about that too. But it's very true, right? And so when we look at, okay, and I know this is, I'm speaking about children, but it is also, it pertains to us too today and our students. Okay, you're teaching a class. Wow, Kelly, that is such an amazing handstand. Wow, Tom, you can really balance really well. What is that recognizing? The external. So then you're setting your students up to, they see you, they're already looking up to you as like their teacher, as their guru, oh, this spiritual person, and oh, I'm getting praised. They notice me, they know my name, they're recognizing that my abilities in asana, right? They're not necessarily consciously thinking like that, but that imprint is happening in their brain. And then you have, say, Susie in the back, and she's in child's pose. And then what happens to her? Oh, I can't do handstand. I can't balance like that. You know, I suck. I can't do this. But instead we acknowledge, hey, Susie, that's amazing that you have the awareness to take a moment and rest in child's pose right now. And taking the time, we're a society that is so based on the product, right? On the success, just like you were talking about with your child, right? The effort, not the product. And that's with our students. Recognize their effort. Wow, I can see you're really focused right now. Wow, I can really see that you are breathing mindfully. Things like that. Or if you have a child and they paint something and really inside you're like, oh, it's just, whatever. But you say to them, oh, that's so beautiful. Well, there you go. Then it ends, right? You've praised extrinsic value versus intrinsic, and instead you can ask questions. Okay, honey, what made you choose those colors today? Well, what was your motivation? What were you trying to paint? And so you ask questions because curiosity is a bridge to connection. And so it's almost a scapegoat just to say, I'm going to praise the product, right? Example as how I felt, well, my teacher did this amazing handstand that I'm nowhere near doing. Yep. Yeah. And that's so true. And I've been there too of like, oh, my teacher recognized me. That feels nice. And that's just playing on our upbringing too. And so through your life, and not even with your students or if you're teaching or not, but personally, think about how you are affirming and acknowledging your own efforts. Something I generally say at the end of every class is, we're seated and we're closing. Take a moment to acknowledge your efforts. For the fact that you even just showed up on your mat to be open to receive new knowledge and insight, that is a huge step on a path, right? That takes a lot of time and commitment, right? And to acknowledge all of that and not to just say, did I get an A or a C, but did I show up? Am I here to really learn, or am I here to just pass the test? Can we repeat about how you said about curiosity? Oh, curiosity is a bridge to connection. And connection is what we're really looking for internally, deep within ourselves. We want to feel connected. Right at the beginning of today, of the sutras and talking about yoga and union, is amidst everyone's differences, everyone wants to be loved, heard, seen, respected. And so part of that needs to be curious. Be curious when you're watching your students. Be amazed at what their body is doing, whether it's resting or seated in meditation or moving, right? And see the breath that's moving their body rather than just the body moving, right? See the spirit behind it. I missed the first half. You missed the first half of today, Shannon? We've recorded it, so we'll get that to you, don't worry. Oh, okay, yeah, here we are. So, acknowledge yourself. Even right now, like one thing I do if I'm feeling less than, we could say, or overwhelmed, of course. Hand on heart, silently or loud. Feel your breath, and just acknowledge you. Acknowledge yourself. Be proud of yourself. It feels empowering to claim your own self-worth. And we don't need to see it as a negative thing, a narcissistic thing, right? That's different. It's a balance. Intrinsic value. Intrinsic appreciation. And extrinsic value and appreciation, that can get us in toxic relationships too. Work environments, love relationships, friend environments. And that is where where the imposter syndrome comes up, of feeling less than and then looking for other people to praise us when we need to do that work ourselves. Parents raising children, that's important to acknowledge and appreciate and affirm and recognize and love on and give value, nurture that value for children so that as they age, that they can create healthy intrinsic value. But the problem is, as adults, if we haven't been taught that from an upbringing, that's a lot of work to unlearn that habit and then find it again. We do it all the time. Extrinsic value. So another piece of homework, again, these are all for yourself, is to write at least 3 to 5 things that you value about yourself, about who you are. sometimes that's hard. I remember the first time I experienced that in a yoga class. We were coming out of Shavasana, and the teacher said, think of 3 things that you love about yourself. And I laid there and I'm like, oh my God, do I love anything about myself? I've never really even thought about that. So it's a healthy way to see yourself. Okay, contentment and hardship. Oh, side note, I got coffee. It's a little late for me, but that's okay. Contentment and hardship. I spoke about this earlier, but for those who are just joining, is the struggles are those milestones for our greatest growth. Right? They're the victory. Someone just said it, right? What was that quote that you just pulled up? I need to look at that. Forget what you said. Something about our greatest obstacles. And anyways, I can't find it right now. But yes, our greatest obstacles present us the opportunity to grow and to evolve. And wow, what if we reframed our mind to see all the joys, all the hardship, all the sorrow, all the success, not as those things individually, but as opportunities to grow, to learn. And then that changes the way we see the world. Wow, I had that really challenging, frustrating interaction with said person, a client, an employee, a student, or whatever, that really irritated me. Great, why did that irritate you? Oh, because they said it like this, or they spoke like this, or you can go on and on and on. But in the moment you allow it to be a mirror, then you will have an opportunity for growth, right? And that's a small situation. Obviously, we've explored much greater topics. And I know people have been handed a really hard deck of cards of their life. Sometimes, wow, they can't catch a break. And those people end up being saint-like. Those people that I know that have experienced lots of trauma and challenge and hardship, and nothing's come easy for them. They have this resiliency and this power behind them that's not ego, it's very humble. And that's part of Santosha too, is having this humility, this reverence for life, this respect for life, respect to the lessons that you're given. So part of this practice is Judith Lassiter. So some of you who did restorative with me, and I meant to mention those who did restorative, I've been receiving your emails. I'm sorry I haven't responded. I'm trying to complete I'm creating an online course I'm trying to complete. So they're there. I see you. I haven't forgotten about you. But Judith Lassiter, who was my restorative teacher, she has a quote that's basically saying, practicing Santosha in the joyous moments of life is an excellent place to begin this practice particularly. So when life is going well and it's flowing and you feel free and joyful, practice gratitude in that, because that's building up this like inner bank. So when life gets challenging, oh man, right? You have that inner resource to keep coming back to it. You have the habit that no matter what you're going through in life, you still can see. You're choosing consciously how you're seeing the rest of the world. So with your eyes, how you can see. In the movie Wild, there's a beautiful part of a flashback of the daughter and her mom, and her mom always used to tell the daughter, put yourself in spaces of beauty. So go outside, bask in the forest, put your feet in the grass, see a sunrise, see a sunset, go to the lake, go to the mountains, immerse yourself in places of beauty. So then you get to see that, and it creates this inner strength within yourself of deep appreciation. So on top of the space or below, you can see what are the strategies you use to stay grounded amidst challenge. What are some people will say coping techniques. When life gets tough, we tend to go to fight or flight. And yoga has been scientifically proven to help us strengthen the rest and digest of our nervous system, the parasympathetic. So keep coming back to the practice. Oh, singing bowl, yeah. Beautiful. I love these. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your practice. Yeah. Anything that's going to bring you back into the present moment is a great strategy to keep you grounded, right? Go outside, put your feet in the grass, right? Go for a walk, garden. I mean, there's so many techniques and tools. We just have to put them into habit. And the more that we practice them, the more they're going to come with ease. Oh yeah, this hardship is happening. I'm just naturally going to go and gravitate towards this thing. To dance, being out in nature. Yes. Movement. Oh, movement is medicine. There's a children's book. I don't know the name of it, but the idea of dance out your angry monkeys, they say. So, which I think is great. Like, move the energy, right? Because sometimes we go through something challenging that energy gets stuck, and we just have this reservoir of deep-seated whatever is happening, and we just keep piling all of that on top of one another, and it needs to move. It needs to get out. Cry, right? Write, sing, dance. Any questions? Other ways you guys practice Santosha? And then we can look at what does Santosha look like for you on your own mat when you're practicing asana? Are you constantly striving for more? Faster, stronger, more intense postures? What happens when you don't get your practice in? Do you beat yourself up? Do you judge yourself? Critique yourself? Or what happens when you have a quote-unquote bad practice? What does that look like in your mind? I try to accept my body is able to do without judgment. Yeah, and that is contentment, is to know that every time we show up on our mat, that our body and our mind is going to be different. Every day is just like every day is different, even if it feels like Groundhog Day. Every day is different, and so is our body, and so is our practice. And you know what else? So is the teacher who's teaching you, even if it's the same exact teacher. What they're going through is different. And so how you might receive their energy and their guidance is different. And we start looking at, oh my gosh, there's so many things that are playing into the impact of each given moment. And so Santosha to me is an anchor. And that anchor is gratitude. Just coming back, wow, my body does so much for me every single day. Every single day. I mean, my heart is beating. I'm breathing without even thinking about it. I'm digesting food. My organs are working. And there needs to be a little bit more childlike wonder and curiosity and awe and amazement of life, our own lives and life around us, and not to take things so seriously. Don't take life so seriously. When we take life too seriously, we miss the mystery and we miss the beauty. We miss the majesty even in the mundane, right? We choose the eyes in which we see the world. What lights your spirit up? And then see it. See from that place. A former teacher of mine would say, always give your 100%, but recognize that your 100% will look different daily. This thought reminds me to be thankful for what I'm able to do and respect myself for being earnest. Yeah, that's one of the 4 agreements. of that, the 4 agreements, the Don Miguel Ruiz book, is one of the 4 agreements is always do your best. Always do your best, but know that your best is going to look different each and every single day. And be okay at the end of it with, okay, that was my best. Contentment. Grounded. That's what it feels like. Grounded, you're okay with where you're at. Okay. Moving on. We can always go back. Tapas. I would love to eat some Spanish tapas right now. But tapas. Again, vernacular. Be open to it. Discipline. Drive. Fire. This is tapas. We must be steadfast in our love and respect for ourselves, both when we soar and when we stumble. So interesting that that tapas is coming right after santosha. What does it mean to be content and then have the discipline and drive to continue to grow and evolve? That's interesting. What does that look like? That can be very challenging. And that if you think of the scales, right? We can easily move from, oh, I feel so content. Oh, I need to be growing. Okay, I'm growing too much. I'm pushing myself too hard. I need to be more content, right? And then we go back and forth, and we're looking to balance those scales. So tapas is a zeal on our practice, in our practice, and off the mat, in our practice of life. Life, the practice. A zeal, a drive. So we're going against the grain of society because generally a lot of us Westerners can be like, oh yes, tapas, we relate to that, we resonate with that. I just want to go pedal to the metal. This is not what tapas is. Like you just said, it's about putting in the 100%, but knowing that every day that's different. Again, they're not just individual tenets with themselves. They're all blending together, as you can see more and more. So that's the pursuit of enthusiasm for holistic health, a healthy appetite for life. And sometimes that healthy appetite for life can be turn into something dogmatic, or it can go the other way and become very lethargic. We're looking for a balance, equilibrium. So everyone's different. Be honest with yourselves. Do you have the tendency to, or let's rephrase this. Do you have the tendency to be more type A person or type B person? Type A is productivity, queen or queen, pedal to the metal, success, career, let's go. And then type B is like, I'm good, can chill, everything can go with the flow. Let's see here, we got some type A, type A. Look at this, how fascinating. Everyone who's in here. Oh, we got a few type Bs. Yeah, a lot of times we get the people who like strive and love education will be a type A. I was a type A, but burned out. Exactly. So this is your work. If you're a type B person, you got to find that little spark that will get you going. And if you're a type A person, you need to find something to cool you down because you might burn out. Type A due to my job. I love collaborating with type A's. Yes, it's interesting, right? I'm a type B, but was an A until I frazzled out. I think I waver between, okay, yeah. So here we are. Now, again, everyone's situation is different. B internally, A externally. I love it. Recovering type A. Me too. Yeah, and now we're here. Well, some of you might still be working remotely if you have a corporate job, or maybe you're teaching some yoga virtually. But everyone's presented with the slowing down. So type A's, this can be quite challenging for you not to have the go, go, go experience. And then type B's, this might be activating for you to just continue to like sloth into a place of chill. So but you got to find that a routine, even if you're like sleeping in or something like that, find a morning routine that it's consistent for you to keep on going. Type B, but when I find something I'm passionate about, I obsessively work at it, like this yoga course. Yeah. So, and then also I will say with all this is we fluctuate through seasons of life too. Different seasons, different careers that we have, if we are feeling passionate about something, or we're not feeling passionate about something. I had a job, a part of a job that I had was a lot of like back end data maintenance, and it was still related to yoga, but I realized lesson of life. I realized that I did not thrive in that. I really just like slow way down. Like I'm not in the moment present. I get really bored with it. I'm not engaged, and it's really challenging for me. But if I have a task that I find, and for most of us, passionate about, then I'm all in. I'm game. Let's do this. So I think it's cool because this practice is also about becoming aware of yourself. For those who are familiar with Ayurveda, this is similar to, you could say, type A and type B-ish. In Ayurveda, there's 3 doshas. Pitta, he would say that's very much type A, fiery, little maybe spitfire, but can get agitated, very focused, career driven. That's type A. Type, you could, again, slightly comparing them. Then there's Vata, which is airy, someone who gets lots of ideas and is more of a creative type, but might not follow through with every single idea. And then Kapha is very grounded, very chill, very earthy. Maybe you could say that's type B. And we have a bit of everyone in us too. Just generally we gravitate towards one or two more than the others. Oh, I meant to be, here. I forgot where we are. Let me exit this real quick. I did the dosha test and Chop. Oh yeah, he does one. And it said I was an equal balance of, wow, look at that. Do it in like a month and try it again, and it might be different. But that's beautiful. You're living the yoga. Okay. So we're talking about tapas, and we're talking about 100% looks different every day, doing your best. It's simply about showing up for yourself. Again, enthusiasm for holistic health. It doesn't mean you need to be obsessive, and also that doesn't mean you just need to like sit down and meditate at a tree and let life go by either. We need to drive appetite, right? Appetite is hunger, right? And an appetite for life, to explore and experience. Apologies for my movie references. Obviously, I've been watching a good amount of movies these past few weeks. So last night I watched Big Fish by Tim Burton, and it's a story of this man. He tells these really extravagant stories, and his son is now an adult, is kind of like, Dad, are those really true? Like, I just want to know the real you. But the dad's story is really about like his healthy appetite for life. He grew up in a small town, and they're like, we love you, you're so great here, like come and stay here. And he just wants to keep going and growing, and he has all these experiences of life, of opportunities, and he just continues to thrive. Oh, it's such a great movie. Yeah, so beautiful. Highly recommend it. And so that is that, like this hunger for life. And now I know from teaching, and then I've worked with children in different age groups, teaching art as well. When I came to Austin, I taught elementary art for a little while too, and then I've worked with adolescents. I've taught one-on-one private instruction for high school athletes, and I noticed a tendency for children and adolescents to become bored quickly. And so I can only imagine how kiddos must be feeling now without being able to see their friends, maybe not having their normal sports routine or going to school and everything in between. But boredom is an opportunity in itself to become curious again about what you're interested in. And there's endless things to explore, to read, to practice, to learn about. And this is tapas, is discovering what keeps you going, what gets you hungry for life, what wakes you up in the morning. So that is tapas, that discipline to keep going, to keep exploring. And it doesn't mean you need to go, again, 100% of the time. Do your best with the energy that you have. And also, in this specific time, in this time specifically, to remember that it is a pandemic that we've never gone through. So I know there was some like influencers out there who are like, this is a great time to learn a language or write a book or, whatever it is. All of you are doing this training, so awesome. But at the same time, there's some people who are really overwhelmed and burdened by what's happening, and to remember that this isn't a time that we chose, right? This just happened for all of us. And so with that too, to be compassionate, and maybe showing up for yourself is waking up, making your bed, and making yourself a meal and going for a walk. It can look different. And your tapas doesn't need to be the same as someone else's. So that's another part of that expectation. Like, what are your expectations for yourself? And then are you somehow placing those expectations on another individual? Especially be mindful of your loved ones. Someone's just joining. Okay. Goodness. Oh, wait. Okay. 2 tapas on the mat is showing up when it's hard and also knowing when to rest or slow down. So again, tapas isn't meaning you got to take a power yoga class every single day. Maybe you do a few times a week. Maybe you don't at all. Maybe that's not your thing. And for those who are type A and you're taking all those flow vinyasa classes, learn to enjoy and find contentment, santosha, in the periods where the class is slower. Maybe it's more yin, or maybe it's a meditation class. Generally, as individuals, as humans, we go for what we want, and we don't always take the time for what we need. Yeah? And society generally sells to us what the things that we want and not always the things that we need. And then we think, okay, what do we generally see? Okay, I love asana again, but what do we normally see in a yoga studio is asana. That's selling to the modern want of the population to move their bodies as a form of fitness, as a form of physically feeling good in their bodies, and their supple, strong joints are healthy, are moving, right? Those are all good things, but we also need to learn how to slow down. Our society, most of us, going a mile a minute, so fast all the time. The moment we wake up, we get in the car, we make our coffee, we get in traffic, we go to work, we do the same thing. We're working. We get in the car, we come home, we turn the radio on, we come home, we cook dinner, and we repeat the same process over and over and over again. We need to pause. And yoga is saying, hey, I can offer that to you. Just take a moment. Tapas is listening to the whispers. the whispers of your soul, your spirit. Oh, okay. For an example, where are we? May, April. This teacher I know, these two teachers I know in LA. I don't know them. I know of them. They presented, okay, let's keep everyone healthy and moving, and we're gonna do this running challenge. Run or walk 100 miles in the month of April. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm total type A. Let's do this. So I take it upon myself, and I end up running 80 miles and walking 80 miles in the month of April. and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, then they're like, okay, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna do it for the next month too. And I'm like, awesome. And then all of a sudden I notice my ankle is sore. I'm like, oh, I want to go run again. I need to pause more in my yoga practice, yeah. And so that was my discipline of like, all right, Christine, no, you can go for some walks. You need to like chill out on the running. And you know what? That was actually really hard for me because I really wanted to keep running. I wanted to do the challenge. Keyword there, want. I wanted to do this thing. What I needed to do, what I need to do is learn how to chill out. And so that means not running for me, learning how to rest, learning to really listen to the whisper, because that's tapas. It's not just go, go, go. It's the discipline to listen. Okay, questions, comments? As a runner, I completely identify with that. I've gotten hurt when pushing too hard for too long. It's so hard to stop. I did this with my shoulder. I kept pushing, and now I'm injured. Yeah. So anyone else been injured or experiencing some pain through whether it's yoga or fitness or running or whatever it is? I'll tell the story of the goldsmith. So yeah, same adductor injury right now. See, and I guarantee you, most of you, for those who are sharing, was your body whispering to you before you experienced where you are right now? Yep, yes. Did this with my knee and shoulder with Zumba, TRX, torn labrum, tear and hip. Oh my goodness. Yes, running always, torn labrum, too much running, then teacher training, my 200 hour. Okay, so multiple things. One, know that you're not alone. Still can't stop moving though, LOL. I get you. IT band syndrome from overtraining. Some people who get really, really like full blown into yoga get what they call yoga butt. It's like right where your hamstring connects to your sit bone. And you can like see it in some people. It's like really pronounced. So then for me personally, because I'm the same way, I love movement. It helps me think more clearly. I just feel better in my body. Sometimes I get so antsy, especially if I'm doing a lot of computer work, that I get like really, I feel energy like pulsating through my body. Piriformis syndrome. Yeah, that one more class. Knee pain teaching aerobic classes and ended up needing knee surgery to repair the ligament. Oh, yeah. So find movement that helps soften the whisper. And know that if we take that pause, we are so much more likely to come back to that mode of movement if we take the pause. And I also believe that the whispers that our body is speaking to us, oh, my knee, oh, my shoulder, oh, my ankle, or whatever it is, that's the tip of the iceberg. That's what you can see, and then there's something underneath that. Someone said something and I lost it. Oh, here we are. My right shoulder has really been acting up from pushing myself too hard as a massage therapist and with workouts. Yes, rest. My body has asked me to slow down. As a PT, I'm now focusing on the slower, more mindful classes. So it needs to be balanced. For those who are feeling that hunger for movement, I really encourage you to explore restorative practices, yin practices, joint mobility, ice baths, ice showers, cold showers, things like this, Epsom salt, deep breathing, rest. And I know it's so hard, but that's the tip of the iceberg is the pain response, right? It's your nervous system, your body's communicating to your brain, hey, this isn't right, this is not optimal of how my body should be functioning, something's off. But then it's also your body saying, hey, can we just take a break? Like I need to slow down. I want a yang because I love that movement, but when I listen to that inner hearing, I know I need more yin and restoring for sure. Yeah, love restorative yoga. Yep, so a lot of you are in that boat. Thank you guys for sharing. We're not alone. Discovered yin yoga and I love it. Productive feeling helps me feel balanced on my other activities. Yeah. And then change it up. So if you're always like running, then maybe you cycle, or maybe you start swimming, or maybe, you do slow lifting, or vice versa, right? And then also we have to ask ourselves, including myself, I ask, why are we doing that thing so hard? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to prove? Is it really, yes, there is a love for it. I get that. I love running. I love it. But then is it worth it? Is it worth the pain and that lingering sensation? Is it worth a few years from now, keep going, and then you might have to get a surgery, right? And then recover, and then maybe never be able to do it again. That's the discipline of taking the moment to have perspective. Looking not just in this moment, but okay, what does that look like in a few months or a few years? The way am I doing this really hit for me? Yeah. Yeah, and then we can learn from each other. Oh, wow, there's so many other people who are going through something similar. Okay, I'm not alone. They get it, we get it, and that's just part of the push of our society is to just keep going, keep fighting, keep working out, keep eating healthy, keep doing. And we're not robots, right? We need a rest. We need to repair our bodies and our tissues, right? We're not machines. And some people, I know they're in the like fitness world, people will be like, yeah, our body's like a machine, goes and goes and goes. But it also is like this living human being and with organisms that literally need to repair themselves through times of rest and slowing down. So thank you all for sharing that. Oh goodness, time is flying. Okay. Story of the goldsmith. This is true tapas. It's a goldsmith, and he has an apprentice. The apprentice comes in to learn, to watch, to observe, to learn the craft and the techniques and the trade. He's watching his teacher, and his teacher is firing away a piece of gold. And he's just watching him and watching him, watching. He's burning away through the gold, firing the gold. And the apprentice is just looking and says, well, how do you know when you're done? Like how can you tell when the piece is done, the work is done? And the goldsmith stops. And he looks at him and he says, easy. It's when I see my reflection. And that is tapas. When we can, that's why it never stops, is in our life, is the driving motivation to keep unearthing and discovering and rediscovering our fullest, most authentic self. To really see ourself. And not just this self, right? The external, but to see ourself. To see the big self, the capital self, the divine in us. Or or whatever religion you're seeing, or that you are of the divine. That you are You see the universal energy through you. And we keep working, and we keep putting in our tapas, again, not just on our mat, listening when we're exercising, or really listening while we're working or in a relationship. Where do we need to take more time and care? Where do we need to have more motivation? Where do we need to show up a little bit more? Or where do we need to show up a little bit less? Maybe we're too front seat all the time and we need to take a back seat and be more of a student and learn and be more humble. Or maybe we need to step into our power a little bit more. And it's kind of like a ping pong game. It goes back and forth, right? Sometimes it's in our court and sometimes it's not. And that's the real working of tapas is, right? And, right, the act of the goldsmith, he's using fire to burn away dross and muck, mire from the gold so we can see it more clearly. So it's just working. And in yoga, teachers, and myself included, will say, utilize ujjayi breath to create that inner tapas, that inner heat. So there is an element of heat to stoke that inner fire, to find the example of the goldsmith, that idea of goldsmith, to move the unnecessary, to unearth the distractions out of the way. That is tapas. Any questions or comments? So I think for those of you who are sharing, like me, who tend to push the pedal of the metal in terms of the physicality of things, you need a game plan for yourself, or the habit's so strong that you're gonna keep going to it. Like anything, like a person who smokes cigarettes, the habit is so strong, even though they know it's bad for them, they have that drive to go back to it. So you need a plan in place to support the healing time for you, right? Maybe it's just some form of more gentle movement. And I get it for those also, like, I can't move, like, I don't feel productive, or I feel lethargic, or et cetera. You tap into other parts of yourself that maybe have been there in the past that you've kind of put to the side, that maybe you want to come back. Maybe it's a creativity. Maybe it's more time reading. Maybe it's more time writing. Maybe it's more time studying or exploring. I find that the people like myself who are always on the go, you might be, like I was saying, the iceberg, you might be looking the other direction from something that's trying to say hello to you and say, hey, I'm here too. And hey, I would like some time and investment from you as well. And know that your self-worth is not just in how fast you run, or how much you can lift, or how well you can dance, right? There's so many other means of exploration for our bodies, and now is the time to explore that so that you can come back to it in maybe a more healthy, more practical way. Like, you don't need to run that mile so fast. You don't need to dance 7 days a week. Last little story with tapas is, so my background is in Ashtanga yoga, which is a set sequence. It's where flow and vinyasa have come out of. Ashtanga yoga was created by Pattabhi Jois, who studied directly with Krishnamacharya, which is our founding father of our modern day yoga as we know it today. So I was studying with a teacher, and she really took me under her wing, and there wasn't many people practicing Ashtanga. I would go at like 6 in the morning, and Maybe there was like 10 of us in the room, maybe, and we'd come at different times. It was a self-paced practice. Everyone's generally doing the same sequence, and she would add on different postures depending on how consistent you were with the practice and how mobile and strong you were with the practice. And so before I knew it, I was within a few years practicing the 3rd series, and there's 6 series in total. It always starts with the same for everyone, 5 sun A, 5 sun B. It ends generally the same, and then the meat is a little bit different. And then the 3rd series, there's a lot of postures of deep binds where I would be putting my like legs behind my head, and I started noticing some discomfort in my sacrum, my sacral iliac joint, my SI joint. And it just bothered me. And it wasn't painful, it just bothered me. And during that period of time, I was also started in an anatomy course with a physical therapist. And he said something that was so profound to me, and I'm still learning this lesson. Here we are. Now I have a sore ankle. He said, it's form. Is it the function of the pose, or is it the form? And that just dawned on me so powerfully of like, do I really need to be putting my legs behind? What's the function of that? When how is that serving me the rest of my life, right? And from that point forward, I did not do that anymore. And lo and behold, that SI pain has drastically diminished. Even my stance, the length of my legs when I take warrior stance is a lot less aggressive. Before it was like very wide, and that was pulling on my SI joint in those opposite directions. So it's the same for all those who are like, is it necessary to lift this amount of weight, right? Can we be content? There we go back to Santosha. Or is it necessary to run X amount of miles or X amount of time? Right? What are we really, what's the underlying why of what we're doing? And that will shine some light on what you need. Okay. Here we go. Svadhyaya. 2 more. I think we can do it. Self-study. Svadhyaya, self-study. So you can see we're going up a little bit deeper, or down a little bit deeper, however you want to look at it. The intelligence that is embedded in the cells of a tree and that infuses it with the will to grow tall and strong resides in our cells as well. So this kind of pulls on contentment, tapas, and svadhyaya, is just how there is, oh darn it, I'm stuck in that place again. Just as there's that genetic code in a tree to grow into a tree and produce said flowers or leaves or fruit, the same is for you and me. There is an innate potential in us to grow and evolve and expand and to learn, to create, to manifest, to love, to serve, to share, all of it. To reproduce, if that's what you want to do with your life. And not just children, right? We can produce in so many different ways. So, svadhyaya is the education of yourself, holding a spirit and a space for deep, honest inquiry. So we've talked about this concept through every single yama and every single niyama up to this point, but this is the practice. This is the true looking in the mirror. So not only does self-study relate to examining your inner landscape, but it is also the idea of applying yourself to spiritual practices. So I like to remember svadhyaya as the S, right? A mnemonic device. Svadhyaya, svad, self, similar, and then S and S is spirit. So spiritual practices. Read literature, listen to podcasts, documentaries, take workshops or classes that inspire you, that motivate you, that drive you to grow. And be mindful of where and how you invest your mind and your energy. that goes back towards brahmacharya, moderation, right? What we put in, what we ingest in our body and our mind is going to be cultivated and created in our mind, right? And through our lives. So that the teacher Raghunath was being interviewed by Joe Rogan, and I don't really listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. He is a great interviewer, but I really wanted to listen to hear him interview this teacher Raghunath. And he asked him if he had seen The Joker, the movie. I haven't seen it. I hear it's fantastic and very thought-provoking. And he said no, he hadn't. And Joe Rogan was talking about, well, it's, it really makes you think. And he's like, but it is really dark. And Raghunath responded and said, I do watch movies, but I'm really mindful of what I spend my mind and energy on, because I know that impacts what's circulating through my mind and through my thoughts. Maybe not present and conscious, but subconsciously influencing them. So just, I'm not saying you need to live like a saint here, right? Entertainment is beautiful and can be educational, and even in Hollywood movies, there's profound stories of deep meaning behind what the movies are generally about. Comedy is beautiful, laughter is wonderful, right? So don't be too hard on yourself in that way, and be mindful not to turn to a dogmatic state, right? Still enjoy life. That's the jiva in the sutras. The spirit is this. All of life is like a buffet. Just be mindful of how much you ingest in it and invest in it. So while you're on the path of self-study, you might be faced with challenges, right? Hardships. Here we go again. And while you experience hardships, the tendency of what happens is you experience old behavior or coping techniques that come out. They bubble up to the surface. That's very normal. And know that now with your newfound awareness, if you go through a hardship and you see yourself kind of moving back to an old pattern, right? Know that if you have that light of awareness, that it's an opportunity to continue to grow. So continue to be compassionate and remain humble, remain teachable. That is part of svadhyaya. Be open to feedback and critique, and know that feedback and critique is, take it. If someone is giving it to you, or if you open yourself up to it, know that you don't need to take it completely personally to the core of your being, but to see that it is an opportunity to expand. And in our society, I think it's a very challenging thing to do, to be open to feedback or critique, because we do take it personally. And then what happens is we've looked so much for extrinsic value that now we feel bad about ourselves and we feel less than or inferior. So when we remain humble, when we remain teachable, right, then we can keep growing and bettering ourselves. And because of that, then we can offer more insight and love and compassion and service to other individuals. So what inspires you? Who inspires you? Surround yourself with those things, those ideas, those people who do critique, who speak truth into your life, who make you contemplate and think deeper, and who do challenge you, and who feel like a sandpaper person, who kind of, rub you in a challenging way. And some people we can choose our friends, right? Our loved ones, maybe. We can't necessarily choose the colleagues we work with. But you can choose the material that you read, and the articles that you read, and the books that you read, and the movies you watch, and what you listen to, and the music you listen to. So spend time thinking about that. What inspires you? What just gets you going? What's like, oh man, like that is beautiful. But I aspire to grow on that path, to explore myself in that way. And know that you have the potential to do that too. So it's not an inferiority complex of I aspire and I'm inspired by this individual or this idea, but oh, I'll never be able to do that. That's not svadhyaya either. Know really becoming familiar with your inner landscape, what activates you, what frustrates you, where you excel, and where your strengths are, and then where your weaknesses are. And not neglect your weaknesses, continue to nurture those, and then at the same time continue to pursue the things that you find that are passionate for you, that come naturally to you. Don't just neglect those and put those to the wayside. Continue to, like a craftsman, continue to work on them. An author spends years and years and years working on a book. It doesn't just finish it and is done, right? And they go back, and then they have people look and edit and revise and edit and revise, and they go back and forth. Love it when you say stay humble, stay teachable, and open to feedback. Easy to forget that for myself and trying to plant the seed in my child as well. Yeah. And then, especially for like monkey see, monkey do, like we see that for parents and children, but all at the same time for friends too. If we create an environment with our friends and our loved ones that is that way, in a compassionate and firm way. I had a girlfriend that when I was living alone, I lived with her, and we were so honest and compassionate with one another, and it really helped us to delve deeper and to grow. And we don't need to be afraid of it, right? Again, if you come from a place of love, especially when you're giving feedback and vulnerability, then that generally will be exchanged. It takes time to learn it. Can you give a couple of your favorite musical artists that relate to your practice? Ooh, yeah, great. Let me share y'all a playlist. Also, I don't know what your teaching schedule is tomorrow. Tomorrow, Sunday? Yeah. I'm teaching at 9 a.m. for My Vinyasa Practice, and all of you should, I believe, have a membership. So I would love to have you in class. Let me give you a playlist here. Let's see. Oh, this one's beautiful. Yeah, I teach tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time. Oh, thanks, Audrey. Yeah, email Tara. I believe that is correct. Yay! I'm excited to have you, Jack. Yeah, and all my playlists, I believe, are public on Spotify. It's christine.anderson.yoga. Yeah, you can see that there. A lot of my music is generally instrumental because I don't want to bring forth any extra pull of society. And some of it is, but most of the music is not popular music that you would hear on the radio. So that I have this gentle, I have a background like a white noise, but as I'm moving, I can kind of notice thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are coming to the surface and use my body, use my practice to work through them. Oh, yay! Oh, that's so cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I would love to have you guys in every Sunday night. Okay, our last one is Ishvara Pranidhana. It's a fun one. Surrender. So surrender to divine, higher self, consciousness, universe. It's about surrendering. So what does that mean? How is that different from a parigraha? This is towards divinity. This is right before we get to the other limbs, which we'll revisit just so you can kind of see the latter effect of how they're building on top of each other. transcending selfish desires and motivations to devote yourself to something beyond your small self. Doing all this work, all this self-study, all this love, all this compassion, non-attachment, cleanliness, not just for you, but to something bigger than just you. And I say that even when we practice in a physical way in asana, is that we can devote our practice to something bigger than ourselves, and to know that we practice to, yes, better ourselves, but at the same time to support and uplift the larger collective. Oh, for sure. I'm glad you found me. And there's so much joy in that because there's so much connection. I think we're plagued with this idea that we are alone in our society, especially right now. And it's heartbreaking that I know maybe some of you, or I know other people who are living alone and can feel really lonely. And I believe that the practice of yoga helps us. Yeah, we get to connect with other people in the yoga studio, and that really feels like a sense of community. But yet again, yoga, the reason why we practice is the union, and that we really do crave connection and community, honesty and love. And it just takes the practice to open ourselves up to it, right? It's really easy for us to be in a superficial, and I'm careful with that word, or just like a surface level, I'll say, way to connect with other people. But it's okay to ask deep questions to one another. Can you put sorry, thanks. There we are. Examining your belief structures and ideologies, and explore the possibilities of surrendering to something greater than yourself or your ideas. It's hard. I mean, for me, and I was telling you about my path, my religious background of, I had a lot of fear of letting that go, of such a structured view of life. And I had examined them and examined that a lot of the ideologies I had were given to me, and I didn't really consciously contemplate them. And so divinity is so much more to me than just what is written in books. It is experiencing yourself beyond the self, to be amazed at life, to allow yourself to be amazed at life. I mean, the other day, a few weeks ago, we were on a walk in my in-laws' neighborhood, and it was just my partner and I, and we were walking, and there's a bunch of deer that roam this neighborhood. They're like super comfortable there. And I saw these deer, and I said out loud, I would just love to touch its wet, cute little nose. Told you I'm like animal obsessed. And so I brought out my camera, I started filming this deer, and they're just eating the grass on this person's front lawn. And I just walked up filming it, and the deer walked right up to me, put its nose in my hand, I kid you not. And I'm filming this with my other hand. I'm like blown away. And he starts just licking me and licking me and licking me, and I'm allowed, he just lets me pet him. And it was one of those moments that felt like surrender, of like this divine connection that was happening. It was amazing. And I was just, and in the video, I was like, I wanted that to happen. That's so crazy. Yeah, it was really cool. It was so beautiful. It was a moment I'll never forget, for sure. And just to surrender to the connection that the universe is trying to remind us that that's what we are, right? That's what we innately, we desire connection. And as society, we've literally built boxes around ourselves, and we live very individualistic lives, and we've deprived ourselves of the ability to connect, not just with individuals and human beings, but with nature, especially if we live in cities. Man, wow, there's a common idea that people will say we're divorced from nature. We have a ton of deer by us, and I always want to do the same, but I'm scared that I might get a sudden move and they think I'm trying to hurt them. Oh, no, you're totally great. If they're comfortable, they'll come towards you. Another way you can also bring them in is you can, Trader Joe's, my mom is so cute, she told me, Trader Joe's has sugar cubes, and you can buy them and then just hold your hand out and they'll come up to you. I didn't have anything in my hand. They literally just like walked right up. And the coolest part was in the background, I didn't film it, but you could hear him. There's a little boy who was probably like 4 with his dad in the front yard, like the next yard over. And the little boy, and it's so cute, he goes, "Look, Dad, that deer loves her. He loves her." I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And so it was this moment of like, wow, all this is happening. We're all surrendering into this moment. Yeah, try it. It's so cool. Okay, so right, we say namaste. We teach namaste. The love and the light in me sees and honors the love and the light in you. Let's live it, embody it, right? And in that, we are reinforcing that pattern. Oh, hey, my computer's gonna die. I'm gonna run and grab my charger real quick. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Whew. Made it. 4%. All right. So surrender. Actually, that applies perfectly. So, we're talking about tapas and discipline, contentment. Surrender is also the fact that we are human. We need to surrender, that we don't have limitless energy, right? We literally need to sleep every night. We need to recharge our batteries. That is surrender. You go to bed at night, just surrendering to sleep. And if you're anything like me, I get so excited to go to sleep. I love sleeping. As much as I love moving, which is funny. But that is a part of surrender. You surrender to relaxation, letting go, of closing your eyes, of releasing, of finding that nurturing sense that we all crave. Okay, so also surrendering is about finding our way from the Maya, the illusion, into a state of moksha or liberation. So we awaken, right? It's like the Matrix. Which pill are you going to take, the blue or the red, right? Do you want to wake up to see, or do you just want to be oblivious? And we wake up to see, oh man, life is just going hardcore. I want to wake up to see that I can surrender to trust in something bigger than myself, so I don't have to feel and carry the weight of the world on my shoulders alone. When we surrender, we're actually opening up to a greater pool of conscious collective energy. So we have more energetic support, that we feel more liberated. Oops. Okay. Any questions here? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. So, a question is, where can you surrender more? Where are you holding on with a closed fist? Where can you have that open palm and practice aparigraha and know that it's not just non-attachment, but it's at the same time of, it's a trust. That's how you can practice it. Again, they're building on top of each other. All right, well, the last thing I want to share, and this kind of pulls it all together, and then I'll go back to the slide to look at the 8 limbs so we can see the whole picture. We got a question. Surrendering is my challenge. Trusting enough that letting go is safe. Yeah. I think that's why it's here. So that's the last niyama. So remember what I was saying in the beginning, these are 10 practices. That's a lot. I know these by heart in the like by the back of my hand now. But it was years of looking these overs, of looking these specific yamas and niyamas over and over and over again, and can I even remember them, let alone practice them? So I really encourage you just to focus on one. Maybe just begin. It doesn't have to be ahimsa. Find one that feels like it's pulling on your heartstrings and work on that for at least a week. Don't overwhelm your nervous system by saying, oh, I gotta, don't be a type A with these, right? Just work slowly, work with the material. Like you're kneading a piece of dough, let it take its time. Then you have to let it sit, right? And then it has to rise before you put it in the oven. And then you gotta let it be in the oven for quite some time. And then you have to let it cool, right? So there's integration, and then there's work, and then there's resting, and that's how these practices will work their way into your being. The whole idea here is you are the point the universe is trying to make. This concept took me almost a year to really embody what it was meant to. So yoga is different. It's not a math equation. You don't just find the answer. You're the answer. Everything that you go through in life, those are the equations, the problems, right? The math problems to help you come back to yourself. Because you are the embodiment of the universe in human form. Moving through life, making mistakes, creating, manifesting, working, unlearning, relearning, right? Laughing, crying, all these ebb and flows. You're the universe in ecstatic motion. Anxiety, yeah. That's the work. But now, see, Karen, this is great because you're starting to notice it. You're seeing the shift. And it says, and ask yourself why. Like, what is it about it that is bringing you to that space? I'm going to pull all the way back up to the beginning. So we have, right, the yamas. Ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Then the niyamas, saucha, santosha, tapas, svadhyaya, ishvari pranadhana. It's a lot. It's a lot of material and a lot of practice. One way that I would practice trying to memorize them is, well, generally I did this on a run, so maybe it's a walk, is I would go on my walk or my run, and I would just start thinking about them all. Okay, ahimsa, asteya, and then I'd forget one. Oh, I forgot one. I forgot satya. But I wouldn't realize it then. So I'm going through them all. Okay, I got 9 of them. What is the 10th one? Why can't I remember the 10th one? Why can't I remember the 10th one? Why can't I remember the 10th one? And then I'd go through my life that day, and then something would happen. And lo and behold, what was the thing that would happen would make me realize, it was satya. That was the one I forgot. Every single time. Every single time I would forget one, and then something would happen and be like, boom, that's the one that you forgot. That's the one you need. That's the one you need to work on. So that's another way you can work on it too, once you start feeling more comfortable to start memorizing. Yes, the Yamas and Niyamas. I forget the name of that author. She's excellent though. If you remember the author, yeah, please share it with us. So as we wrap up, stay compassionate with yourself as you explore this. Deborah Adele, that's it. Yep, you're right. Thank you for sharing that. Be slow, right? Tortoise, rabbit story, might be the tortoise here. Take the time to eat and integrate the material. That it doesn't mean you need to learn the whole thing in one foul swoop or 1 week or 1 month or 1 year. Slow and steady. Less is more. That's okay. So, I know it's a lot, right? Of new material, maybe fresh material or fresh insight. Any final questions for the day? It's wild how fast the day actually goes. Will you share your playlist here or by the email? Oh, I did. I'll share it again. Here it is. That's one. And then you can click on that and then find me on Spotify as well. And then also for Instagram, if you want to get connected with me, it's and that deer, actually the video of the deer is on there. So you can, if you're interested. The PowerPoint will be shared. I saved this to the iCloud. So I believe I'll ask Tara how that is set up for you guys, so that you can. Did that come through? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Everyone in meeting. Oh, that's what I meant to do. Here we go. That's the playlist. I was sent it to different people. And then here's my Instagram. Dear video. Yes. Isn't it so cool? I was blown away. It was the best. Tomorrow, let me check in before I part with you guys. Let's see here.
Christine, I just want to say that until like halfway through this whole class, I thought your name was Tara until you said it was Christine. So.
Oh, I know, because yeah, Tara's the manager, so that's why my name is, I'm on their like general account, so I'm using theirs. Someone else thought that too, so no, you're totally fine. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time. Sunday, every Sunday, 9 a.m. Central Time. Yeah, you're totally okay. Oh yeah, the butterfly. The butterflies were so cool. That was really fun to do. I had a great quarantine project. Yes, the deer, I know, so amazing. Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on the gram. I believe I'm on that email too, and then I just asked Michelle about tomorrow. I don't know. I'm sure you guys will get an email. So I apologize for not knowing about that as of tomorrow. But we'll keep in touch with you, and once I hear from her, I'll make sure she gets you an email. What is the lecture content? This content? Someone asked. Tomorrow's. Oh yeah, I don't know at this point in time. But I'll make sure Michelle emails you and gets in touch with you all. But again, feel free to reach out with anything, and just keep practicing these slowly. Start weaving them into your time on your mat, your meditation, and how you move through the rest of your life. So let's see, let's stop this so I can see you all. Hold on 1 second. I want to make sure to sign off with you all. Oh, sorry. Before you all leave, let's see here. Hold on. So I know you guys hung in there. I know it's a lot of sitting and listening, and so thank you for giving me your time. And I know it's challenging just sitting in front of a computer screen. So please do yourself a favor and get outside, move your body. The 30-day complimentary streams with teacher training I just signed up this week. That's with Tara. So I believe you got an email from Tara about that. But if not, I'll see you guys tomorrow for yoga at 9 a.m. if you're interested. I'm so glad. And then feel free to reach out on Instagram with anything that you guys need as well. So I hope to see you guys soon. And yeah, you'll probably be seeing me more for teacher trainings in the upcoming weeks as well. So hope you're not bored of me. Thank you guys. Do we need a link?
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you guys. Oh, your dog, I love it. She's going crazy. It's beautiful. Oh. Thank you guys. Have a beautiful day. Get some sunshine and drink some water. Eat something yummy. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Do we need a link for join your class? Tara will get that, I believe. I'm going to email Tara and for those who are, I'll make sure to email her. Okay, cool. Great.
I emailed her yesterday, and she replied today, giving me access with the link and a password to do the live streaming of the
perfect.
classes.
Okay, so just email Tara and she'll get you guys signed up. You sign up for the class. Yeah, it's through Mind Body. But if you don't have the link, she'll send you your complimentary session too. Awesome. Instagram. Someone just asked me. Class. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Where are you? There you go.